Welcome back to the Shift Happens podcast. Today we're talking about chaotic urgency versus relaxed intensity.
Oh, this is going to be a good one. All right. Welcome to the Shift Happens podcast about navigating the lighter side of life's challenges.
I'm Robin McIntire, a certified life and transitions coach.
And I'm Monique Eckes, a question asker, thinking of the questions you're probably asking during these podcasts.
Mm-hmm. The perfect person.
Ooh, okay. Ever since you told me relax intensity, I love those two words together.
I do too.
So we're going to break it down for all of you today. Tell us a little bit more about relaxed intensity versus chaotic energy.
Relaxed intensity, I heard years ago when I was in multi-level marketing from a very favorite mentor. And I just thought, oh my gosh, that is the greatest word, because she was a go-getter and she was very successful, but she had a calm demeanor.
Ooh.
So I just said, wow, relaxed intensity. I just another one that I just grabbed for myself.
It sounds contradictory.
Yes,
but
it does.
I think it can go together.
Yeah,
right,
it can. So
tell us more.
This is really about energy. Always.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to just talk, I just really want you to be aware, if you tune into this podcast and you enjoy being with us, energy is at the root of everything. Mm-hmm. So that's really what it all comes back to always, is what are we bringing to the party? What kind of energy are we doing things with, showing up with, and how does it work for us or not? Mm-hmm. Okay, so energy, we want to stay excited and focused, and we want to be able to ground ourselves in the moment when that other energy starts coming in, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought of Monique, when I came up with this topic this week, I said, can you please share more about what you've been through in the last 2 weeks? And I know if you've been tuning in, you know she's been moving to a new facility for her, or a new studio.
Yeah, holding.
And there was urgency all over the place.
Oh my.
And the way it went down has been so great. But I just really wanted to use Monique's example today to show you the difference in chaotic urgency and relaxed intensity, because energy is everything. And you've learned so much about it, and you've gotten really, really self-aware.
Oh, and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago and saying, I don't know how well I would have handled this move if I hadn't been in 6 months of coaching with you already. So it came maybe a little bit easier, which you'll find listening to the podcast and working with Robin as well. But when I got the news that I needed to get out of my old studio, that was like some chaos, right? So that could have been that chaotic urgency, which it was for a day or half a day or an hour or whatever.
You experienced it. Your body knows it happened.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when I found this new facility, which we're recording in now, I just kind of thought, there's so much to do. There's so much to do, but I have 8 weeks to do it. It was 6 weeks at that point. I still have 6 weeks to do it. But
calmer than I would have been.
I kept thinking, like, there's so much to do. I want to do it all right now. So that's the kind of chaotic. It felt very chaotic. So I, wrote up a 6-week plan on my whiteboard with my sister. We did the reverse engineering, right? Mm-hmm. So we reverse engineered it. And, so many of the things we talk about in our coaching and on the podcast here, I did the pause. All right, what needs to happen? Instead of just like diving into the next thing on the list, hold up, write it all down. So I did a backwards order. This has to happen before this can happen, before this can happen. That was great. And I kept focused on that. So that's we have some words that we wrote down here. And just so much of it as that pause, slow down to go fast, really thinking about that kind of more relaxed energy.
Yeah.
I did not want to move into this space feeling like that.
You've done such a beautiful job, too. It's just always reminding yourself there's enough time.
Yes.
And you kept your momentum.
Okay.
You kept your momentum.
And it's actually really hard to do that when you have this weighty list, this chaotic urgency, this chaotic energy, right, that we always talk about. And it doesn't feel good, and you don't actually get stuff done.
No.
Actually, I wouldn't have gotten stuff done if I hadn't slowed down and paused and really like we talk about embodied, this relaxed intensity. And can I give like the visual concept that we just thought of?
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out, I am super visual as a photographer, right? So when we're talking about relaxed intensity, the first thing that popped into my head is a hot air balloon ride.
So good. Say more.
Yeah. So if you,
I mean, that does feel calming just thinking about it.
oh yeah,
For sure.
But did you know, like, so if you haven't been on a hot air balloon ride, when we picture a hot air balloon ride, you're floating along. It's very calm and serene
Quiet.
up there and quiet. But guess what keeps up that balloon? A very intense fire. And as
So
you're
good.
floating along, the pilot would go, and this flame fills this whole balloon, and it's loud.
And you can even hear it down on the ground, so that's that loud. It's
That's
very
true.
intense. Yeah.
That is so true. And the first time I was in a hot air balloon, like, wow, okay. That kind of took away from the experience, but it doesn't. You know,
Yeah.
you have to have that intensity. But what I love is the hot air balloon visual is the fire intensity inside, surrounded by the calmness.
So good.
Like I can
love
just
that.
really picture myself in that balloon. All my to-do list is that fire and my momentum and my focus and my energy. But also, we have enough time.
Yeah.
I have enough resources, you know?
That is such a great analogy. I
Enough
love
tools. Yeah.
I love it because for the most part, the balloon is doing the calm thing.
Yeah,
Right?
it
Like you
really
said,
is.
it encompasses all of it, where the center is where the fire is, which is kind of what we want to think about us and our goals and our
Yes.
belief in ourselves. It's the core part of us, right? And we really want that to go and stay lit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if we can do it in the relaxed energy,
Yeah.
I love the hot air balloon.
Yeah,
That's really
and
rich.
there is that pause in the chaos sometimes, and we talk about the pause here. You know, when you're in the hot air balloon, but it also helps that we know that we can redirect. So when you're in a hot air balloon, there's other things in play here. You know, the wind currents and where you're at and things like that, and that happens in the middle of all these goals and things too.
Right.
I'll go, oh, well, this thing that I thought would work is not going to work.
Yeah. So does anything come to mind over the last 2 weeks where you were things were good, but then you caught yourself just kind of getting a little tense about something?
The good thing is I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
It felt like a lot of time. A couple of the
Mindset.
things that I kind of had planned out but didn't. Like here we're sitting in the podcast studio. It's a specific part of the new facility. And we have really cool sound dampening curtains if you're not watching us on YouTube. And the track system along the ceiling.
Yes,
I
so
spent a
nice.
lot of mental energy figuring out how to make that work. And it came together in the end. But I wanted it for these episodes before we actually do the grand opening. And then the other thing, you know, when you move into a new space, there's always some little thing. And for me, it was the cracks in the floor. So it's a concrete floor, and you know where the seams are in concrete, and typically those are caulked. And they were not caulked in this building. There's probably 2,000 square feet of concrete floor. And all of the cracks had all kinds of metal shavings from the business before me in here, and all kinds of stuff in there. So I spent hours sitting on the concrete floor, digging out all of that and vacuuming it up. And then it needed to be caulked because I'm going to have animals in here and everything else. And we added up the hours. It took Bree and I 8 or 10 hours to clean out all the cracks and caulk them all. That I had not.
So you hadn't had that on your board.
It was not in my board. And it took a lot longer than we thought, and it was extra expense. But while we were doing it, we said, you know what, let's work together. We chatted, we just sat on the floor. We tried to make it as fun as possible.
Perfect.
We tried really hard to say, okay, we've made a choice that we want to caulk these. We liked our reasons. We knew it would take a whole extra day. I'm giving all the buzzwords that
I
Robin's
loved
giving
it.
me.
Like your reasons.
Yes, and then we decided to just enjoy our time. And I have to say that was one of the funnest times working with Bree here. Is just sitting on the floor while the caulk gun is going crazy, spilling out all the extra caulk, and we're trying to wipe things and our fingers are getting raw. And I mean, it ended up being a fun time.
And you decided that in the beginning. It was going to be fun.
Yeah.
So good. Is that the night you called me and said your back was killing you? And so
No, that was probably something else.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's been plenty of nights like that.
yeah, you have just jammed on this place.
Yeah.
I know this isn't specific to chaotic urgency, but what's your biggest lesson from moving in here?
Oh, you put
on
me
a
on the spot.
timeline.
Oh gosh, I hadn't prepared for this question, but I'd have to say, what can I give up?
Okay.
You know, it's one of those things like to get something, you have to give up something
Yes.
sometimes. There's only so much time.
Yes.
There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much energy. What did I need to give up to gain this? So some of it is just social media. I didn't post as much on, say, Instagram as I would. I didn't do some of the other stuff that's not like as essential to my business. I have been running my business this whole move, but there are certain things that we said, okay, we have a big plan for this space, but we're not going to do it right now. It's okay to not have that done. So certain things that aren't done I'm okay with. And that's really hard because I want it to be so nice when I move in and just like hit the ground running. So that's been a big lesson. It's another big lesson has been to accept help.
Oh, so good.
Because this is a place I can't run myself.
Yeah.
This is way too big of a business and a move, and my goal for this place has just exploded.
It's a big one.
Yeah. So I've called you many times over being able to take on this new role, these new services, all of this. My sister is a huge part of this move. My other sister who doesn't live here is doing as much as she can from afar. People have given me stuff for my space, have offered to move things with me. That's been huge, is also accepting help.
So good. And this is a great thing because Monique you have set such a beautiful example of keeping it exciting from start to finish. You let everybody in on the back end. So she has, I know you did a YouTube video on saying, a lot of the experts say, don't show anybody the mess while you're in it. And Monique said, I'm showing them, but it's so inspiring for people to see. So you gave yourself permission to leave parts unfinished. That's another way of slowing down, right?
Okay,
And just,
yeah.
right? Accepting help is another way to allow yourself time for yourself, sleep. I'm not saying you had enough sleep. I know
I tried, though.
It's a
I
busy
really did,
season.
yeah.
Like you know that this has been a little season, a segment
Yes.
of time that you're going to break a few of your own rules as far as when do I go to bed or how much am I, what you let, I don't even want to say what you let slide with your business. You made a conscious choice of, okay, social media, I'm not going to be quite on my game that I normally am, but it's for the greater good, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you really kept all those choices really contributed to you staying calm.
I think so. And I talk about these kind of big projects like this as a season of sacrifice, but when we think about it as an intense time, like the title of this episode, I think that works as well too.
Yeah.
If I can think of it as a relaxed, intense time, how can I make this really intense project
Fun.
smooth and fun and easy and lighter, right? So I think it kind of all comes back around.
It's so great. I mean, I hope you end up writing your story about this whole, because it was a quantum leap anyway.
Yeah.
Your space quadrupled.
I don't know. I went from
times 8.
400 square feet to 3,800 square feet. Yeah.
But without much hesitation. I mean, you were careful not to be. You did the check mark.
Yes.
Checked in with Melissa for business coaching.
Yeah.
Made sure the numbers made sense, and you were not being careless. But Monique has been amazing she is the queen of fun anyway. I think that's how I ended up with her. I knew I needed that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, to stay out of the crazy, chaotic energy is why this. I know that's why some of your ideas have come to you, because you're what'd you call it the other day? Taking a beat.
Oh, okay.
Like taking time?
Yeah. Take a beat. Yeah.
Take a beat. Take a moment. And you're very committed to doing that and catching yourself in the moment if it's anything but that.
And so much has just been stuff I've learned with Robin. So I think, thank you for helping me with this transition.
You're just an amazing coachee. I think too, you're very sincere when you're saying, I want this to be different. So you've stayed very open to what's possible. And here you are learning that, oh, I can still get a lot done and I don't have to kill myself for it.
So we just recorded another podcast episode about kind of like looking at your goal list and saying, you know what, this has been on my list forever. This is the time. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to make it happen. I'm not saying this well.
Yeah, no, but you're like, I'm not okay to be the person that doesn't hit the goal
Yes.
when it's on my list all the time over
Right.
and over. Yeah.
So when the opportunity came out for this big space, it was a couple years ahead of what I thought. But I'm like, you know what? I'm making it happen. So that was one of those things I just fast forwarded on that. Yeah.
I've been asking for it. Here it is.
Oh, here it is.
I better be a good receiver.
All right. So with all that in mind, I want to. We have a couple more things to talk about, but we got to do our sponsor break. Thank you so much, Robin, for being the sponsor again.
I just love being the sponsor.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I love all the things that you offer our audience, like you. So I think this will be a good one. I know this will be a good one.
This is a visual. Speaking of visuals,
Okay, good.
now I wish it had a hot air balloon on it.
We'll think
that
of
would have been better. But it's grind versus flow, and it's a side by side. If you've been listening for a while, you might already have this, but it's a side by side of basically relaxed energy and calm energy, and it's got a lot of words in it, but it's something to really ponder for you that. If you are not good at slowing yourself down, and if you do struggle with being able to ground yourself or change your state, it's really about changing your state. It's about, you're in this energy, and your mind is going to start saying all these things to you, and all the stories, and how scary it is, or I don't have enough time, and all those panicky thoughts. And by studying these two side by sides, it reminds you have a choice in the moment to go from that frenetic energy to, wait a minute, I've got this. It's okay. I'm enough. It's enough. I have the resources. So it's really that. It's just a bit. It's not a worksheet this time. But it is just a side by side. And if nothing else, it'd be great for you to check. You might think you're calm, and that you think in this one energy, but it would be you might get curious and say, ooh, I'm seeing some of these over here that I still practice, so maybe I could use a little more help.
Yeah.
Getting calm, staying calm.
I love that because, like we've always talked about, is I love putting more words to the feelings and understanding more of it. So that's perfect. Yeah. And you can just download this and take a look.
Yeah, it's a free downloadable. We'll be in the show notes. I'm adding. I just decided to put all my freebies in the show notes for all of them.
Oh yeah.
So you'll see a few other freebies in there. I talk a lot about habits.
Yeah,
changing habits. There's a really good one in there. And there's one called Dominoes that's about domino effect and playing it through. So they're in there as well. But help yourself.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sponsor. So I love your one-liners. What do we got today for a one-liner?
So you know how I don't know if you've heard this or not. Maybe you've heard this. Your body doesn't know the difference between anxious and excited.
Yes, I heard that a couple years ago.
Okay, so really, what if the one-liner for us is, my body knows that being anxious really means being excited. So just by flipping it, we're just tweaking it just a little bit. And that's all the perspective work we do, all the thought work we do. It really is about doing that. How can I serve myself better in the moment? And when we feel that anxiety sneak up and your body starts telling you, I'm anxious, what about flipping it to, I'm just excited?
I do love that because we so often equate anxiety to negative things, because so there's always an opposite.
Right.
Oh no, what if this doesn't work? What if it does?
What if it does?
Yeah, excited. I love it.
Yeah.
I just think about that all the time, especially when I'm going to do something scary or I've got this intense time.
Right, and you have got, she's the master. It's been such a pleasure. Being beside you, but watching you do this in real time and applying all these tools.
It's been fun to share the journey with everybody, but yeah. But I also want people to have an action step, and actually you can do this no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're driving, if you're doing dishes, if you're walking the dog.
If you're sitting, you can close your eyes and think about
the hot air balloon.
But
if you're driving.
But if you're driving or doing something else, I just invite you to stop right now in the moment. And I want to see you take a really nice, slow, deep breath. And not just from your chest. If you see your shoulders rise and fall, we want to get you to see your stomach, your belly, go out and in. So if you even want to place your hands on your belly, take a big deep breath through your nose. And when you don't have any more room, go ahead and exhale through your mouth. And do it again. Inhale. And exhale. When you can get really good at, sometimes if you lay on the floor and hold, and really just purposely, as women, we are not used to pushing our belly out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, our training since being little girls is suck it in, right? So it's hard for us to allow that, but you want your exhale to fill your belly.
Okay.
And the inhale, you can think of your navel going in against your spine and then up.
Ooh, okay.
So that
really?
we just threw a little bit of ab tightening in there for you, if you want to get technical. But the personal trainer in me just had to say it.
Of course.
Right? But it's really, if you see people breathe in here with shoulders and their neck and their chest, it's not what we're after.
Okay.
We wanted to, the test is to keep your shoulder blades down and back and see how deep of a breath you can take just with your belly going in and out. If you're not used to it, it's quite a practice.
Yeah, it was a practice for me just now.
Yeah. So another distraction for you when you're stressed. But you could do it at a red light.
That's true.
If that anxious thought comes up at a red light, or you're getting ready to go speak in front of a room, or have a courageous conversation, something you're nervous about, just take a moment and just feel your body and ground yourself.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I'm going to think a lot about relaxed intensity now.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I want to be that hot air balloon. Going calmly with all of my intensity in it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
It's a special memory of a special mentor I had. So yeah, I like to pass it along.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast this week.
Appreciate you being here very much.
Yeah. A reminder, we are on YouTube, so you can see us. Hello. And you can like and share and comment. We'd love that.
We do love the comments and suggestions. Suggestions for topics, for sure.
If you know someone who's going through a chaotic energy or urgency right now, share this podcast for sure. Apple is a great easy way to share a review.
On Apple Podcasts, please, yes.
Any of them. We have 5 stars written down. Perhaps you would like to
copy that.
us. Yeah. And remember, shift happens.
Shift happens.
Yeah.
It so happens.
It really does.
It does.
And Robin's here to help you through it all.
I am here, and my website is also a place you can find the podcast too. And that's where you can just go straight to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube. So you can go straight from there. My podcast is robinmcintire.com with all I's, ROBINMCINTIRE.
That's the website.
That's the website.
All right. Thanks for joining us this week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Ciao.